I have an older brother, and I feel like right away that probably tells you a little something about my childhood. Brothers, I think they're meant to annoy each other. It's like our job. And I will say that my brother and I, we were really good at our jobs. Basically, anything that got under his skin suddenly became my favorite activity. Like singing the song 76 Trombones in the shower at the top of my lungs, over and over and over again. And for his part, he knew just how to crush me. He knew what to mention, mock, and destroy to get a rise out of me. We get along fine now, but back then we fought all the time. But we also knew just how far we could push it and still claim innocence when mom and dad would rush into the room demanding to know what was going on. But there was this one time that I remember when it was pretty clear that the brunt of the punishment was about to fall on me because I couldn't prove how hard he'd punched me or what he'd called me. And with my hands balled into fists and frustrated tears welling up in my eyes, I just started shouting that nobody ever listens to me, that it wasn't fair, that it was his fault. And then my brother's eyes widened as I turned on my mom and began to tell her exactly what I thought of her parenting in that moment. And then I announced that I was leaving. I packed a bag with the things that mattered most. I raided the pantry for graham crackers and pudding cups, and I left, dragging a suitcase behind me as best I could. That is, until I came to the uncrossable road. I had never crossed that street without permission. I was forbidden to do so. But at that point, I was so angry that I was eager to do anything I'd been told not to do. So I crossed the road, and I stepped into the woods beyond. And for the next little while, I dragged that suitcase all over the woods until I found a spot where I felt like I could live out my days. And then I spent the next couple hours collecting long sticks from all over the woods to build myself a kind of teepee. And then finally, I sat down to have a snack. And it was round about my third graham cracker that I realized that this was not really going the way that I'd hoped. Because I was tired and bored. And I was starting to realize that my teepee was a pretty poor stand-in for my bed back home. But I had said some really awful things. And I'd made a fool of myself. And I had crossed the uncrossable road. I couldn't just go back. But as the sun got lower and the woods got darker, I got a lot more scared. And soon, I was dragging that suitcase back the way that I'd come. And feeling embarrassed and still fairly angry, I dragged it up the front walk, and I could smell dinner. And I walked in the front door, and my whole family was already seated around the dining room table, and they all turned to look at me at once. And in that fraction of a moment, the guilt and the shame and the fear made me just want to turn around and walk right back out again. And then my mom's face broke into this huge smile, and she said, "I'm so glad you're back. We've been saving a place for you." And I looked, and there was a plate and silverware and an empty chair. And then she looked me in the eyes and she said, "Come and eat." Since that day, there have been a lot more times when I've felt like nobody's listening to me. When pain has made me think, I don't deserve this. When heavy blows have caused me to cry out, this is not fair. And I've shouted curses and cried foul as I've dragged my baggage out the door, and I've rebelled. I've crossed lines that I never should have crossed. Until I find myself in places where it just keeps getting darker. And I find myself asking, can I still go home?
waves of wayward winds, in a world of trouble and sin, walked along a crooked mile behind a million rank and file. Forgot where I came from, somewhere back when I was young. I was a good man's child. 'Cause I lost some nameless things, my innocence flew away from me. Had to hide his face from my desire to embrace forbidden fire. But at night I dream he's singing over me. Oh, my child, come on home, home to me, and I will hold you in my arms, and joyful be there will always be a place for you at my table. Return to me, yeah. I wonder where I might be cared. I hear a voice upon the way. He's singing faint but singing true. Son, there ain't nothing that you can do but listen close and follow me. I'll take you where you're meant to be. Just don't lose faith. So I put my hand upon the plow, I wipe the sweat up off my brow, plant the good seeds along the way, as I look forward to the day when at last I see my Father run to me, singing, oh, my child, come on home, home to me, and I will hold you in my arms, and joyful be there will always be a place for you who at my table. Return to me, oh, my child. So come on home to me, and I will hold you in my arms, and joyful be there will always be a place for you at my table, at my table, at my table. Return to